Now I am with chapter 7, Human Environment, Settlement, Transport and Communication. So children, in this chapter the key aspects are that human settlement and its type, dense and sparse settlements, means of transport and communication, importance of transport and communication. Children, man has natural desires to constantly grow and improve the condition in which he lives. Yes, of course, everyone, in which environment, in which condition the person live, he always try to improve and come out from there and want to grow. Okay, so by the God given intellect, sense of observation, couple of one's ability to learn, man has altered the surrounding to his benefits. The man invented agriculture and started leading a more settled life. So the agriculture is invented by human only. And with this major steps in life, the first settlement came into being. Because of the agriculture, the first settlement is started, we can say. So with the passage of time, several human activities involved and men began to build homes, develop means of transport and communication, and discover new means of livelihood. Yes, of course, as the time has passed, the human also started the new technologies with the new ideas. Even they started the building the home also, even they developed the means of transport also, even the communication, and they discover the new means of the environment around him and establish settlement to lead more comfortable life. Now question is that what is settlement? So settlement is a place where people build their homes, live close to one another and interact with each other, carrying out various occupational activities which helps in making life more comfortable. The settlement, children, where people they live, they make their home, they build their home, even they live close to one another, they start settlement. And they interact with each other, the people they live around that area nearby them, and even they carrying out the various occupational activities. By this they can earn the money, the source of income, and which help in making life more comfortable. Now the earliest settlement is that the earliest settlement grew near the bank of river, lakes, and fresh water was easily available. The land was fertile and facilitating the agriculture. Earlier settlement was there, people they try means they search the river, bank of the river for the settlement, because it's very helpful for the agriculture, and that's the reason, and their lands are also fertile. That's why people they started settlement near the bank of the rivers. Gradually development took place, trade and commerce grew, industries were set up, and whole picture changed. Okay, yes, that's the reason the picture is gradually, because of the development took place, the picture is totally changed. Now what are the types of settlements? Settlements can be classified into two types, temporary and permanent. Okay, settlements are two types, that is the temporary and permanent. The places are occupied for a short period of time where people practice hunting, gathering and shifting agriculture are called temporary settlement. Temporary is word is the temporary. It means that is for the short period of time. Till then they require that place, they be there on that place. That is the temporary settlement. It means short period of time. So temporary, that's already I explained, that is it means for the short period of time. The place where people build permanent homes are called the permanent settlement. Yes, the place where people they decide now we have to be here, we have to live here. In that places people they build their house. So that is the permanent settlement. Today we are mostly found permanent settlement here. Yes, earlier that was the because of the agriculture temporary settlements were found, but nowadays you can see that mostly that permanent settlements are found. These are also two types. Permanent settlements are also two types, that is the rural and urban settlement. Understood? Now, rural settlement, children, already the rural word you are not, it's not new for you. So the rural settlement, the village have a rural settlement where people are engaged mainly in agriculture. Rural, it means belongs to the village, so people they mostly engage with the agriculture, animal husbandry, forestry, and related to crafts works. The population is small and the amenities are less. Okay, so villagers build their houses either in isolated dwelling or in compact settlement. So in isolate dwelling or scattered settlements are mostly found in hilly areas, in thick forest, or the region with extreme climate condition and spread over an extensive areas. Compact settlement and nucleated settlement are closely built dwelling where flat fertile land is available and accessibilities is goods. The houses built there are thick walled houses. What is the structure of the houses are here, that is it is given in that. The houses built are thick walled, means walled are very thick houses, often having thatched roof, and using locally available building materials like stones, mud and clay, straw, etc. So these are the material which they use to make their houses. Generally, the rural settlements have a poor facility like roads, school, hospital, post office, etc. But the government is making efforts to provide better amenities in rural area, and today several big villages have all the basic facilities. Yes, these are the generally the poor facilities are there if you are talking about the roads, school, hospital. But the governments they are trying and providing the better amenities, and they have tried also. Nowadays you can see in village routes also there you will found that is the fantastic roads are there, and school and hospitals also they are try to give the good facilities in that. Now urban settlement includes towns and cities, children, and here people are mostly engaged in non-agriculture activities. In urban area you will found that people are mostly they are engaged with the non-agriculture activities such as the trade, industrial, administration, banking, commerce, etc. So in urban area, in town and cities, you will find that people are engaged with these activities as the source of income. Urban settlements have found comparatively dense large population require more amenities. They are metalled road with street lights in the urban settlements, and one can get a number of schools, college, hospitals, means of and that is in urban settlement. So these facilities are easily found in the urban areas. Both rural and urban settlements are dependent on each other. Yes, both they are dependent on each other. While rural area provides agriculture good, as we are getting the agriculture grains from the whatever the agriculture goods are there, that's we are getting because of the rural area, because there people are busy with the agriculture. And the urban settlements provide the industrial to goods and other services needed in the village, and other facilities and the requirement which villagers they want and they required, so they get from the urban areas, means urban settlements they provide. So these are how they are interdependent, both rural and urban area, how they are interdependent to each other. Now transport, children. With growing population and increased number of rural and urban settlements, the need of carrying goods and person from one place to the another place also grew. Earlier man either traveled traveled on foot or used animals to transport things from one place to another place. Yes, earlier when facilities were not there, people they go on foot, and sometime if it is very fast, so they use animal as a transport. But with the discovery of the wheel, as the wheel have discovered, the transport was made easier, and gradually different means of transport developed, and that saves our time also. So today there are certain parts of the world, there are animals like donkey, bullock, and camels, even lambs and yaks are used for traveling, and at the same time we have a modern means of transport also, as like super fast trains, aeroplanes that have made traveling much faster. So there are four major means: railway, roadways, railways, waterways and airways. Yes children, earlier people they go on foot, otherwise they use the animals as a transport. But nowadays as I have discussed, as the discover of the wheel, after that the transport also has transferred and totally changed. So that also it saves our time also, and energy also. There are four types of major transport children: roadways, railways, waterways and airways. Roadways children, roads are the most universal modes of transport. They are the most commonly used means of transport and goods and people across short distance. Yes, roadways, as you know that children, that is a universal mode of the transport, and they are most commonly used. The roadways transports are commonly used to transport goods, even the people also, as for the short distance. They are ideal for individual needs also, and roads are the best means of link the rural and urban center across the country. Yes, now the roads, as I have told you, the roads links villages, the roads which is linked between the road means rural and urban area, that is also developed and good conditions. So that's the reason the roadways transports are commonly used for the short distance to move from one place to another place, as for the people also, and even to transport the goods also. Most developed countries have a good network of roadways in India. That the densest road network is in the northern plain, where the relatively easily to the construct roads. In the peninsular region and mountainous area, it is quite difficult to construct the road. Yes, if you are talking about the northern plain area, it is very easy to construct the road if you will compare with the mountainous area. Where the mountainous areas are there children, there they construct the road, it is very difficult as compared to the northern plain areas. We have a national highways connecting all important cities across the countries. Yes children, we have a national highways which is connecting the all important cities across the country, and state highway also, as well as the district road which connect all cities and towns with one another. So again I'm telling the national highways we have children, which is connecting the all important cities across the country, and state highway as well as the district road which connects all cities and towns with one another. In rural areas too, the network of roads is being extended in a big way in order to link every village with the major towns in the country. Now children, railways. Railways, this word is not new for you. The railways today are the fastest means of land transport. If you're talking about the land transport, so railway is the fastest means of the transport, which are very suitable for a long distance traveling. If the distance is long, then it's very easy and comfortable transport, we can say. They are the cheapest and the very important thing is that this is very cheapest means of transporting heavy goods and raw material over long distance. Though initially steam engines were used to run trains, earlier steam engines were used to run the trains, but today they have been replaced by the electric engines, which are not only faster but also the eco-friendly also and do not cause population. So that is reason earlier people were using the steam engines, but now that is changed and replaced into the electric engine, and which is very eco-friendly for the pollution also. The construction of railways line depends upon the relief features, climatic condition, density of population, availability of the resources. Now children, Indian Railways, the network is more developed over the plains as compared to the mountains region. As already I told you children, in the mountainous area that is very difficult to construct the roads. That's the reason the network is more developed over the plains area if you will compare with the mountainous region. The railway network of any area is an indication of the prosperity of the that region. The Indian Railway network is one of the very well developed network, is the largest in Asia. Now children, waterways. The waterways are the oldest and also the cheapest means of transporting merchants and bulky goods from one country to another country. The waterways is also oldest transport children, and as well as the cheapest transport also for the transporting the goods, or even though people also from one country to another country. International trade is carried on mainly the waterways. Okay, international trades that carried mainly through the waterways. Water transport consists of inland waterways and sea and ocean routes. Okay, these are the routes, the water transport that consist of the inland waterways, even though, and seas also and ocean routes also. The inland waterways that includes what is that include? That is the navigable rivers and lakes. Inland waterways that includes the rivers and lakes. It is depend upon the depth and the width of that waterways and the continuity of the water flow. The Great Lakes between the USA and Canada, the Ganga-Brahmaputra river system. The river Nile, Amazon and Mississippi are some of the important inland water. These are the example of the inland waterways. Now sea and oceanic routes, these are the mainly used for international trade, are connected through the ports. Some important seaports are the Mumbai, Singapore, New York and London children. Sydney and etc. The important ocean routes are the North Atlantic routes, which connect the North America with the Europe, and the Mediterranean Sea Indian Ocean routes connecting Europe with the East Africa, South Asia, Australia and the Far East, and the Cape of Good Hope routes, which links Western Europe with the Western countries in Africa. So India has a long coastline and has a 12 major seaports. Okay, India has a long coastline and has a 12 major seaports. Some of them are Mumbai, Kadra, Kochi, Chennai, Visakhapatnam and Kolkata. 95% of India's international trade is handled through these ports. So these are the ports are there where the 95% of India's international trade is handled. Now children, airways. Today's airways transporting is the fastest and most comfortable though expensive means of transport. It can cover mountain, desert, thick forest and ocean stretches with ease. So air, yes, it is the fastest and most comfortable transport, but the thing is that it is expensive also. Air traffic can be adversely affected by rough weather and condition like storm, fog, etc. Yes, it is the best mode of to reach in Accessible means where no roads and railways link can reach. Yes, children, that we can say first thing is that it is, as I already explained you, that this is the fastest and most comfortable, but it is expensive, but it is good for that. It is the best mode to reach there where no roads are there and railways links are not there, so it can be reached. It is extremely useful in times of calamities and disaster. It can be used for rescue, the operation, and distributing the essential stuff like food, medicine, etc. Yes, as the time of the natural calamities, children, this is the one of the transport which is very helpful, and it helps to the people to reach up to there with the foods and medicine facilities and whatever the essential stuffs they required. Air services are of two kinds, that is also two kinds, that is the domestic airways which flies within the boundaries of a countries. Okay, domestic airways which are the within the boundaries of the country, and international airways which is connected major cities of the world. So here also air services also two kinds of. Okay, again I am explaining, children, this is the domestic airways and international airways. Domestic airways which is fly within the boundaries of the country, means within the country, and the international airways which is connected with the major cities of the whole world. The Indian Airlines and the Air Indias are the two airline services run by the government of India. There are mainly other private airlines in India such as Indigo and Jet Airways, etc. Now children, we are talking about the communication. Communication is the process of sending and receiving the messages, as you know that, and this is since time that different means have been used for the communicating, which include using birds and humans to send messages. So earlier people they use passes the message, they use the human help or otherwise the birds also to send the message. But with development in technology, as the man believe in development, so as the development in technology, the evolution of the communication system also has been marvelous change. We can say the invention of the printing press, radio, television, and in the development of satellite, radar, and computer have totally revolutionized the communication system. So now the communication which involve interaction between a few people, though newspaper, magazine, radio, television, and films, communication with the several people can happen in this is the term as mass communication or mass media, and it is a great way to provide education as well as the entertainment also. So here now the communication we are talking about with the mass media, it's not only the give the education also, but as well as it entertain us. So the long distance communication has now become far easier without any physical movement of the communication or receiver to the internet and email facility. Yes children, while sitting at home without moving from your place, you can communicate with anyone very easy way, in a very comfortable way. Okay, so the importance of the communication system can hardly be overestimated. Communication systems such as TV, radio, fixed and mobile and telephones are essential in modern society. These are the part of our lives, we can say nowadays. Now our daily needs, daily requirements are dependent on the mobile. So that is the reason over the last few decades we can say the importance of communication is being increased and recognized the face of the disaster and its management. A number of the countries have set up disaster management information system according to their own needs. A good communication system can help in adverting and reducing the impact of the disasters. So children, this is the chapter 7 also we have done. Read the chapter. It is very easy and interesting chapter. If you will read out, it will be very easy for you. If having any confusion, you can ask to me.